The human microbiotic is a fundamental component of what it means to be human. Amara Meyer. Welcome to Living at Your Finest podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Babs. I'm a triple board certified family, obesity, and lifestyle medicine physician, and I am the founder of Living at Your Finest Wellness, a holistic direct primary care practice. Did you know that 80% of lifestyle-related chronic diseases within our communities are preventable, with poor diet being the primary culprit? Now, contrary to what we thought, that it was our unfortunate genes, the good news is that we can make changes together to improve our health and quality of life. So that's what this podcast is all about. The Living at Your Finest podcast is devoted to helping families to live at their finest well-being using a holistic approach with a healthy lifestyle to nourish and flourish as a whole, vibrant, and healthy champion. So join me and my guests as we share transformational and sustainable skill sets from our health and wellness journey to support you and your families in achieving optimal well-being. Ready to live at your finest? Well, let's get to it. Living at your finest, health champions. Greetings to you. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I am glad that you're here this week. I am excited because I am talking about a topic that many people are talking about, right? We're diving into this fascinating world of the gut-brain connection, and we're going to explore how having a plant-forward diet plays a crucial role in enhancing our overall health. I know you want it, I want it, right? We all need it. So this is a well-researched area. I haven't spoken about it much on the podcast, and I really want to just share the intricate part of the whole phenomenon that I think it'll be important for us to understand. All right, I'm going to explore just the exciting possibilities for improving not just our mental but physical well-being. The topic is the gut-brain connection, the relevance and benefit. Today I will discuss on the podcast just what it means. What is that gut-brain axis? We're also going to talk about the impact of diet on our gut microbiome. Now, I must tell you, when I was in medical school, there was so much to be learned, but I know for sure there was no conversation about the gut-brain connection. So it's definitely an area that is well researched and lots of data is coming out. So this is, again, as I always discuss, it's always evidence-based medicine. So if you're ready, let's get started. So what is that gut-brain axis? Well, let me share what it is. All right. So it really just refers to that complex communication network that links the gut to the brain. So it's bidirectional. It's a bidirectional system that involves not just the nerves, it's the hormones, our immunological signaling pathways. It's so complex. I've always said the human body is so fascinating. Yeah. So that's what it is. But it all starts in the gut. So our gut microbiome consists of trillions of bacteria, which play an important role in the connection. So what goes on in here, one way or the other, it's going to affect our brain and how we interact. I used to remember, even me, some foods would just change my mood. Like what happened? For us, we don't really see it. They say the eyes that see does not see itself. But my kids, one moment they're smiling and happy. And again, you might have heard me, we're sweet tooths in my home. We're recovering sweet tooth, at least I am. And then my kids, all of a sudden they're moody or they're screaming in the top of their lungs. They've eaten something that has not, it tastes good in the moment, but it did their body no good. So what happens is that when we feed the bad bacteria, we are devolving the good bacteria of doing the work that it needs to do. So these microorganisms, the good ones, are supposed to produce neurotransmitters and other compounds that influence our brain function and our mood and even our behavior. Yes, it's a real thing. So if anything at all, when you're eating, ask yourself, are you serving yourself? Is it going to affect your behavior in what positive way or in a negative way? So let's talk about the impact of the diet on our gut microbiome. As I alluded to earlier on, what we feed our bacteria, it makes a big difference, right? When we were younger, we could get away with so many things, right? Someone said on a post that I posted about my kids wanting to eat burgers and fries and all of that all day. And he was saying, well, they're kids. They can get away with even eating plastic. That's usually the mentality. I mean, but as we get over, we certainly can get away with eating plastic. We all have to eat well for the gut microbiome, which, by the way, the kids need to eat better, right? We all need to eat well. So what is the impact of diet on our gut microbiome? So when we eat, it affects the composition and the health of our gut, right? So a diet that is rich in diverse plant-based foods. When I say plant-based, I just mean foods that are from the soil in its most natural form. When we eat that, it leads to numerous benefits in the gut and the brain health. Okay, so let me share some of those things that are very helpful, right? That what it does and what that looks like. So certainly it would affect our mood, right, and our mental health. That's because 90% of our good hormone neurotransmitter serotonin is made in our gut, right? So a balanced gut microbiome will enhance the production of serotonin, which plays a crucial role in our regulating our moods and anxiety. So there are periods where I just feel very anxious all of a sudden. Again, if I eat well, I'm not having all those of anxiety, or I'm able to calm it down, because stress is here to stay. How do we manage it is the question. So that's one. Improved mood and mental health. They say we are what we eat, so we need to be mindful of that serotonin is made in our gut. So people that and again, I'm not dismissing the need for antidepressants. They definitely play a role, but what they do is that it's a synthetic serotonin, but your body already naturally makes it. So relying on our body's ability to produce its own serotonin makes a big difference. Another thing is it enhances our cognitive function. So a healthy gut bacteria, what does it do? It produces short chain fatty acids. So you have all the good bacteria, it's doing its thing, it's being fed properly, it's really excited. And then what it does is that it breaks down even to further compounds, which is called the short chain fatty acids. And this helps support our brain health and our cognitive function. So very important, we are what we eat. You get out of it what you put into it, right? So it's input, output. Another thing is better digestive health. So a diverse and balanced gut microbiome, not only does it improve your digestion, but it reduces inflammation and all the digestive disorder. So what does that look like? You just imagine like a membrane, right? That is tight. But then when you don't eat well and you have the bad bacteria, you begin to have what we call leaky guts. It's more complex than that, but I want to simplify it. So you have the membranes that are tight, gaps are tight. But then when you have just the bad bacteria always being fed, then it's weakened. It's weakened the membrane. And so it begins to expand and open up. And then you start having all this leaky guts and all sorts of things begin to go into your bloodstream. So not only are you having digestive disorder, like irritable bowel syndrome, all sorts of things, Crohn's disease, all sorts of other things that can affect your gut, you have inflammation. Thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode. My goal on this podcast is to empower, educate, and encourage you to take actionable steps to triumph at living at your finest, body, mind, and spirit. Of note, the information provided here is for educational purposes only and does not substitute as medical advice. Please discuss your healthcare needs with your licensed medical professional. If you are in need of a compassionate and comprehensive holistic physician or know someone who is, please reach out through my website, livewellness.com, for a meet and greet. It will be my honor to talk to you. Are we connected on social media yet? I share more in-depth content on best practices to ensure that you live at your finest daily. So please join me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Living at Your Finest Wellness, where we can learn together and stay connected. Lastly, please subscribe to iTunes if you have not done so already, and share the podcast within your circle of influence. An extra step? Leave a review and let me know what topics or discussions you would like to hear more of. Thanks in advance. It is always a thing of joy to hear from you. Now, let's get back to today's episode. Now, another thing with the leaky gut and the membranes being affected, you can have your immune system being affected, because a lot of our immune system properties are developed in the gut. So the gut has a robust immune system that helps our body fight against infections and illnesses. If you find that you're always sick, question is, what are you feeding your gut? How is your gut being fed? Is it fed enough to perform the work that it's meant to, or are you neglecting it? That itself, it's like I don't have the sustenance to do the work that is required for you. All right. So those are the four main reasons why we want to have that gut-brain connection as a powerful house which supports us. Now, the question then will be, how do you feed your gut microbiome, right? There's so much information out there. I want to share a little bit about how we can get that done. What does this look like? What are the key dietary strategies to optimize your gut-brain connection? Now that we've already established that it's very important for your immune system, it's very important for your digestive health, it's very important for your mood as well as mental health, and it's certainly very important to avoid all the complications of chronic diseases. First and foremost is you want to eat a variety of fiber-rich foods, okay? There is no fiber in animal product, even though animal product, yes, does have protein, but it comes along with so many other baggages, unfortunately, hormones and all the stuff that they put. I mean, can you imagine now? Fish. I mean, I was at this grocery store the other day and I could not believe side by side, fish. I eat fish. I grew up eating fish. I love fish, omega-3s and all of that. But you have to be mindful of where the fish, where it was raised, right? Is it in the ocean or is it in the farm? There was a different color between the two. So there's no fiber in animal product. There's no fiber in processed foods. They just fortify it with fiber. But in plant-based foods, there's tons of fiber. All right. Just so that you're aware, for females, we're supposed to have an average of 28 grams, men 38. So women 25, men 38. And only 3% of us in the world are actually meeting that goal. So one, we need to eat a variety of fiber-rich foods. Always make sure that your plate is filled with fiber-rich foods. And I know some of you don't like eating veggies. I've had a few patients say that. Just explore. I love herbs and spices. It makes a world of difference. So many things that I didn't like eating, I've enjoyed it with asparagus, Brussels sprouts. I've just made it fun because I know it's good for me and I've opened my mind because I want to be healthy. I want to live long, not just live long, but I want to live well, right? So my health span, I want it to be the same thing as my lifespan, not just having lifespan without the health. So fiber is essential for maintaining a healthy gut microbiome. So why is that important? Because it acts as a prebiotic. So it's the food that feeds the bacteria in your stomach. And then when the bacteria in your stomach and the food that feeds it breaks down, it even gives you additional benefits. So you want to have fruits and veggies, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, all of that. Absolutely. And then the different types of fiber, right? You hear about the soluble and non-soluble, but whichever case, I want you to pay attention to the soluble fibers, and that would come in the form of apples, broccoli, beans, chia seeds. All of those will help to regulate your digestion and will support the growth of good bacteria. Number 2, fermented food. This is the one that I'm working on. Sometimes I forget, but I make it a point of duty, just at least, no matter how little, just a teaspoon. Fermented foods are rich in probiotics. So that's the bacteria, that's the live bacteria. When I used to take it regularly was when I was having it in yogurt, but unfortunately the yogurt had a lot of sugar. So make sure that you do not have added sugar in your yogurt. Better yet, get your plain yogurt, put your fruits, if you need to put honey or whatever, natural sweeteners, and then, you get your live bacteria. That would definitely help you to enhance your gut health, okay? Other fermented foods that you can use are kimchi, yogurts, like I already mentioned, sauerkraut, kefir, I think that's how it's pronounced, and kombucha. Oh my gosh, I love kombucha so much, but I need to stop buying the drinks because some of them have sugar in them. So as natural as you can get, please do that instead. So these foods help to increase your diversity and the abundance of beneficial bacteria in your gut, okay? Number 3, you gotta limit your processed foods and sugar. Yes. Let me say that again. We gotta limit our processed foods and sugar. I've said it for years that I was a sweet tooth, but I find what makes my sweet tooth heightened or more enhanced is if I'm not sleeping properly, if I'm overly stressed, if I'm dehydrated. Those things make me want to eat processed foods. And I find that the more I crave those foods and the more I feed into it, the more I crave them. So it's really breaking that cycle, and truly the taste bud just get better if you avoid it. And that's what I've been able to do. I'm so glad that even if I take it, like because my brain remembers how it made me feel. Sometimes good and sometimes bad. Sometimes you're eating it just because, not because you really want it, but your body has always done it. And so when I've done that, I actually don't enjoy it any longer and I have to stop. So the processed foods, it does disrupt our gut microbiome. It disrupts our taste buds. So you really want to be very careful not to have that 80% of the time, right? You've got to be true to yourself. If you're somebody that you know that once you get started, it takes you on a roller coaster, then you really want to just find things that will substitute for those unhealthy sweets, okay? So you want to avoid them because if you keep eating them, you're going to have an overgrowth of harmful bacteria. So you got to reduce these if you want to have a healthy gut, okay? So opt for foods that are minimally processed. Again, 4, I already said that, dehydration. Anytime we're dehydrated, our body is 70% water. It's going to say, you're hungry, go eat. And it's not telling you to go eat the most healthy things, right? So we got to stay hydrated. Adequate hydration is essential for maintaining healthy digestion and supporting the gut-brain connection. Why? Because it helps to transport all the nutrients, right? All the nutrients you've eaten, all the waste products through the digestive system. It needs that mobile channel, and the water does that. So let us aim to drink at least 8 glasses of water. Ideally is half of your body weight in water in ounces, provided you don't have any contraindication. All right. So you got to incorporate those foods like cucumbers, watermelon, oranges into your diet. Grapefruits. I love grapefruits. So you got to do that. Now, the last thing I want to share is incorporate omega-3 fatty acids, right? The reason is because they're anti-inflammatory and they help to support the brain health, right? So flaxseed, chia seeds, walnuts, all these things are fantastic in omega-3. If you don't want to eat fish, certainly you can get omega-3s from there, but you just got to be very careful not to eat the big fish because of the mercury. All right. So you want to incorporate all these things. So I hope that this has been helpful just to emphasize why we need to enhance our cognitive health, our mood, why we need to eat healthier because our bodies depend on it, right? Our community depends on it, our families depend on it. All right. So I hope that this has been insightful and inspiring for you. And I want you to know that just more changes is all you need to do. Pick one thing that I've said. Maybe you're not doing it. I know, and some people do the capsules pre and post. Again, they all are found in food. So you can supplement with that. But just remember, supplements are supplements. You really want to get to real food. Okay. So find something that I've already talked about that you're not doing and incorporate that, even if it's on the side, like the coffee or the sauerkraut or any of those things, just by the side or put it in your sandwich. There's several ways that you can do it. Just get it done. Okay. I love asparagus, bananas, red onions. They're all very good foods for the bacteria. Okay. Now, I want to give you some tips before I close. For the probiotic boost, you want to add your fermented veggie to the side, like I already said. You can add it to your bowl for extra probiotics, and then you feel free to switch up your vegetables. Again, I already shared some of my favorite ones. Always add them into your foods. They will definitely, and then do your spices and your herbs to make it even more fun, and it will help to support your gut health and overall well-being with every bite. So thank you for staying on to the very end. Please share this episode with friends and family. I want us all to get healthier together. We have to eliminate all these chronic lifestyle related diseases. We can prevent them, we can treat them, and in most cases we can reverse them, right? So I appreciate you, my Communities of Health champion, and I want to just assure you and remind you that you deserve to live at your finest because you are certainly worth it. All right, so take care and God bless. Until next episode.